enough space?
Yeah. 3 hours and 52 minutes.
All right, we're not going to do that long. Welcome to Lost. Oh,
Sorry.
just stepped on my line.
I did.
Welcome to
Sorry.
Welcome
Apologies. My mistake. Chris.
Welcome to Lost and Found and Rewound, where one host is sharp as a tack, yet worried about cognitive decline, while another host is blasé about mental health and has clearly lost his mind. I'm Chris Lost.
I'm Found Jim.
And I am Pastor Rick Rewound.
Pastor.
How many hosts are there?
There's three. I didn't say anything about Jim in that intro.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I was trying to think of a play on all of our names. I did that thing with Lost. See, lost my mind.
Oh.
I was too lazy to come up with a found and rewound. Oh, I did come up with a found thing, but that's later. Okay, well, I've got a doozy of an I apologize for you all today, and I want to just get it out. As in the intro, we joke a lot about us aging and having dementia on this show. Well, in my case, it's not so funny. A few fast forwards ago, I insisted that Rick suggested we were to work on my song for the LFR EP in the bunker. Then I expressed my self-disappointment for not being ready to do so by the time Rick and Jim arrived in Missouri. Then Rick said he felt bad for putting that pressure on me by suggesting that we record in the bunker if in fact he was the one who suggested it. I emphatically reinforced the claim that he did. Well, I checked the text thread, and he did not. I was the one that suggested it, but in my cloudy brain, I now know that I conflated me suggesting we work on the song in the bunker and Rick asking if we were going to record the podcast in the bunker or should he bring his podcast recorder on the trip. So I have two apologies. One, Rick, I'm sorry that I insisted that you were the one who suggested we work on my song in the bunker. It was me who did that, and it was me who wasn't ready to do it when you both came down. Two, Rick and Jim, I'm sorry that I said that Rick shouldn't bring the podcast recorder down on the trip because, as you'll remember, we had multiple technical issues with my equipment, which led to a lot of lost audio. I have no excuse for these egregious mistakes. All I can offer is that I am not above taking accountability for my gaffes and that doing so may make for some entertaining moments on the podcast.
And I have to apologize for thinking you were gaslighting me as opposed to it being some sort of mental lapse about all this stuff.
I was about to take offense that you think I'd be gaslighting you, but I forgot that that's what I do all the time.
Why would I think that I would be or you would be gaslighting me? Why would I think that?
Why would you say that I gaslight you?
Why would I say something like that?
I've got another apology. I also said on a previous episode that Robert Altman snuck a coffin full of cocaine into Malta.
Oh, yeah, this sounded dodgy.
Using a letter from Henry Kissinger to get past customs. I did some research and that is not accurate. It was mannequins stuffed with cocaine, not a coffin, but the Kissinger letter was 100% accurate.
Wow.
And then the last thing I have to say to open my opening comments is that we are entering the fourth quarter of the first half of this season. So as we all know...
Wait, say it again? The fourth quarter
of the first half of the season. That's exactly what I said. So the first half of each season is made up of 12 monthly episodes. And then the second half of each season is made up of 4 quarterly special promises.
So 12 in the first half and then 4 in the second half.
Correct.
And now we're in the first quarter.
We're in the fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter of the first half, which has 12 episodes, and the second half has 4 episodes.
Right.
Wow.
Each season is ideally would be 2 years long. Now, we got a little thrown off course first season.
And we've done how many seasons?
This is our second. We're in the fourth quarter of the first half of the second season.
I'm not sure it's dementia. I think it's gaslighting. I think you're messing with my head.
And, we come up with our special promises throughout the course of the season, so I just wanted to remind everybody what the special promises will be for the second half of the second season.
Did I decide these?
Yeah, we decided them together. So, but just one quick reminder for the children in the audience, please remember that a secret special promise is a promise to never tell our secret. Our first secret special promise is to watch Beau is Afraid with Michael McMillan.
Okay.
We all made that commitment. And then our second one is we're going to watch, we did a rock movie review with a celebrity guest last season. We watched Ladies and Gentlemen, the Rolling Stones with Greg Kot. So this season we'll watch a rock and roll movie with Rick Digit.
Oh, really? Wow. Oh, you've cleared that? Okay.
No, I'm just saying that's what we'll have to do. Then, of course, Tangerine Jim is the third special promise. That'll be Jim's episode. And then Around the World in a Day versus Parade.
I have a feeling that episode will be the polar opposite of the 1999. And then what's the crappy record that we compared to? Sign of the Times.
How dare you, sir?
Like, how many people are invested in either of those records besides two people in this room?
It'd be nice for Jim because he gets to learn about two more Prince records. We should teach Jim about two Prince records every season. So every 2 years.
6 years.
And that's in the fourth quarter of the second half.
Correct. That would be the fourth quarter of the second half. I mean, I'm not sure that's the order we're doing them in, but that's the four.
Okay.
Beau is Afraid with Michael McMillan, Rockstar Movie Review with Rick Digit, Tangerine Jim, Around the World in a Day versus Parade. I just came up with that fourth one over the weekend.
Those.
So last thing, hot seat. We'll go to Jim first. Were you two raised right?
Wow.
You mean like individual as a band? You know, like Bono and The Edge. Which should I talk about them, each of them individually?
Talking about their
Oh,
childhoods or like their management by Paul McGuinness?
You too. Yeah, they were definitely raised right. They wrote some fabulous music.
And I think Paul McGuinness did a great job guiding that career.
okay. I'll accept that. Much different question with similar wording. Were you raised left?
Yes. Well, you mean? See, I don't know what you mean by it. Well,
I actually wrote, were you two raised left? And then I changed the question, but I guess you could answer, were you two raised
See, the
left?
problem, Chris, is you're talking about Prince records, and then we just have in our mind Prince spelling when you're talking, and so everything's going to be an initial.
Or a cryptograph
Yeah.
of like an I. I don't know how that's faster to write, just drawing an I.
That's true.
well, see now, yeah, and I was interpreting this as being left-handed.
Oh, that's
See,
true, you
but
are.
you meant
So you were
you meant
raised.
politically.
No, I mean, the question's...
It was just open, nebulous.
Were you two raised left?
No, but see, you said were you raised
I know,
left?
I
So
said,
yeah.
Were you
But,
raised
yeah,
left?
you
so
two
the answer is
would've been-
you. So, or yes.
So
Or I cryptogram.
I just was. So I was not forced to do anything right-handed. So I guess I was raised left. I was.
Anytime I used my right hand in a dominant way, I was hit with a ruler.
There was a time in the band that Rick and I are in that 3/4 of the band was left-handed.
Yeah, I was in the minority.
Poor Rick.
Weird.
We just taunt him with our left hands constantly in the van. Just,
And then I just laugh. Yeah, I just laugh and say, "You're going to die sooner than me." Cars are built so that if your instinct to swerve will go into traffic head on. Yeah.
unless you're driving in Japan or England
then
or Australia,
it's built for mutants.
that's all fantasy. That's not true. None of that is true, I think.
Right. Yeah, no, it's not.
But your drummer played like a normal drummer, right?
And our bass player too.
Yeah.
I'm the only true lefty.
Because your bass player learned how to play on a violin,
Right.
and there's no left-handed
Yeah,
violins.
they force you to do old school, old world. I bet they're out in the country, fiddle players, lefty fiddle players who learned. There must have been.
Mountain folk.
Yeah. There's got to be lefty fiddle players.
Satan plays the fiddle. He must
Yeah.
play that
I
left-handed.
bet he does.
Yeah.
So on a podcast I was listening to recently, the co-hosts referred to themselves as co-workers. Are we co-workers?
The work that would indicate some sort of payment. Right?
Well,
Yeah.
do you work in your yard?
I guess I do. I do yard work.
Yeah.
And so this is pod work.
There might be revenue coming into this conglomerate here.
Yeah, I am suspicious. There might be revenue coming in, but I'm not seeing any of it.
Speaking of which, the pizza was delicious today. Lito's Pizza was fantastic. And why would the people at Lito's have to pay anybody to advertise for a pizza that delicious? Right? Am I right, guys?
Why would they have to pay 3 people when they'd only have to pay one?
Am I the CFO? Is that what I said I was? I can't remember. But if so, then I'm handling the accounts. Jim, are you at peace?
Yes, I definitely am. Compared to, when I look around me, yeah. In this room, yes, absolutely. No, generally, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Rick came late today and was discombobulated by being late, and my head is just always not peaceful. I just was wondering if the Found Jim has some religious overtones to it.
Back to you too. I don't know. Bono definitely hasn't found, he still hasn't found what he's looking for. But so you're implying that I have, I guess, or
I'm asking if you have.
I know. I don't know. That's a big question.
There's a question. Jim, have you found what you're looking for?
Of course not. How could I? What?
Rick, you can steal. What's your answer?
I don't think I'm looking for anything.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah. I second that.
What is he looking for in
Yeah.
that song?
Well, there's rumors.
There's like the Who song too. The Pete Townsend song. What's that song?
Happy Jack,
Yeah.
I Can See for Miles.
No.
The Seeker,
Oh.
Yeah, of course.
with the I asked Timothy O'Leary just to get the rhythm right as opposed to Timothy Leary. I think that's a Roger Daltrey mistake.
There's that line in American Beauty that leads into The Seeker. Today is the first day of the rest of your life, and that statement is true for every day except for the day you die.
Mm.
And then it kicks in, he's like jogging to The Seeker.
Ah,
It's cool, man. That guy's cool. What's his name? Not Gary Sinise. What's that guy's name?
you're going to try to make one of us say it. You say it, Chris. You know his name.
can't remember
Say
it.
his name, Chris, if you're going to.
Is it Gary something? What is his name? I can't remember. He was in The Usual Suspects.
I'm not going to say it.
He sang Mind Games at the 9/11 tribute or whatever.
Did he?
Yeah. You've never seen that?
I feel like I saw it, but Chris, that was 20-something years ago.
Well, and it was a hoax. Now we can all talk about it.
Oh, man. Chris is definitely lost.
Am I the first one who's going to flip? It's got to be me,
Totally.
right? It has to be Jim. Jim's like, I did find what I'm looking for, and it ain't you too. So on Color Me Impressed, last segment here, Richard Normal Valentine is at it again. He does these virtual 7-inch singles by releasing songs in a side A, side B format. And there's a new single out titled That's Enough. Starts with a groovy angular guitar line that modulates a la Early Styx. So if you like Early Styx, you might enjoy
Wow.
that song. And then explodes into a delightful guitar solo and orchestral ending. And the B-side is a cover of Susie and the Banshees. Susie?
Yeah.
Susie and the Banshees' Gun.
Did they do a cover of that?
Oh, no. Did I make a mistake? Is that not a Susie and the Banshees song?
Well, it's a John Cale song, but
Oh.
maybe they did cover it.
They absolutely did a version of it. Valentine's version is a full-on garage rock anthem, has kind of a Joan Baez protest cadence in the vocal, and then a lovely fuzzed-out guitar solo that ends in a car accident in the end of an alley. It's really good. I love it. I think it's the best of his singles so far. Yeah, Through the Looking Glass is the Susie and the Banshees album that it's on.
Really? Wow.
And I remember that album cover, but I remember seeing it on a tape, like a cassette tape art. Remember cassette tape
Oh,
art?
yeah.
I totally forgot about this Computer World Craftwork. The cassette for that is really cool. Calculator box. It looked like a calculator, the cassette box, but a bright neon green calculator box. And then the cassette sat inside it.
So it wasn't like a regular plastic cassette box with some art.
No, I think it was like a cardboard. Wow, yeah. I didn't know that Susie and the Banshees covered that.
Well, it shows you what I know.
No, it shows you know.
Oh, well. And then James Garholtz's Life's Too Good to Keep is now officially out, although I think it's been out. That's hard to explain in the timeline. Don't worry about it. Just go. It's a good thing to listen to.
It's nice to hear that Chris is confused about the timeline now, too.
It's just hard to explain.
Chris's timeline, and he doesn't even understand it.
Kansas City. Food-wise, once only known as a barbecue town. But thanks to the Taco the Town podcast, everything has changed. Kansas City has rightfully taken its place as a taco paradise smack dab in the middle of the USA. And all of these tacos belong to us on the Taco the Town podcast. My name is W. David Keith, certified tacoholic, and I live a very taco-centric lifestyle. On the Taco the Town podcast, we're tasting every taco in the town. We shine a light on all of the taco-rific tacos Kansas City has to offer, unearthing great taco memories, checking the latest stories in taco news, and interviewing actors, reporters, chefs, politicians, and musicians about their love for tacos. If you love tacos like I do, you're gonna love Taco the Town. Available wherever you get your taco podcasts. A proud member of the Lotus Pod Podcasting Network.
Lost and found and
Rick, what have you been watching?
Oh, jeez. I forgot. I didn't do my homework. Nothing.
That's a lie.
How long has it been since our last? It's been a while since our last.
Yeah, since you couldn't meet at our last
Yeah.
rendezvous spot.
I could barely meet today. I don't know. Why don't you ask Jim?
Jim, what have you been watching?
I've been listening to a new podcast. What did you do yesterday?
Oh, I heard about that podcast.
David O'Doherty is an Irish comedian I really like. He's really funny. I've probably mentioned him. I like him, and he does it with this other guy who I didn't know, who's who always jokes about that no one, people complain about who's this guy, and he's a football, soccer commentator kind of guy, or podcaster, and he's on radio and TV in the UK. Yeah, I don't follow football that much, so I didn't know who he was, but he's funny too. The two of them just ask people, mostly it's been comedians, because it's like they're joking that it's everybody, it's people that David O'Doherty knows, or UK comedians. It's literally that they just ask, what did you do yesterday? And they try to be very strict, even though the conversation meanders. It's just very simple, but it's entertaining.
So he was on the most recent episode of The Worst Idea of All Time, which actually now they've renamed the podcast Good Times. With Guy Montgomery and Tim Batt. Tim Batt was a guest on this show.
Wow.
So you're one step away from O'Doherty.
Yeah, O'Doherty. Some people add O'Doherty. Sometimes people say that, and he claims that doesn't bother him. He says either way, but he says O'Doherty. He says, yeah, because it seems like English people say O'Doherty, add a G, but he said that I think people in Northern Ireland, either Northern Irish people, say it with a G kind of too. So he doesn't care. He can say it either way.
So would you recommend this podcast?
Oh yeah, it's great, because I'm a David O'Doherty fan, and that's what I was listening. Probably I brought him up on our previous podcast because I was listening to his isolation podcast. It was during the pandemic. He was living on a kind of remote island off the coast of Ireland with his mom and dad, who were in their 80s, and like his grandmother's cottage. Romantic, picturesque, typical Irish, horrific, but beautiful weather. It's like one day it's gorgeous, and then it's just like hurricane winds and, raining, but a very nice place to spend the pandemic. He just do a daily podcast of him just talking in his car out in this remote island. Well, not that remote, but that was a funny podcast. But this is his new thing. It's a very simple premise, and it sounds like it could be really boring, but it's not people talking about these amazing, incredible things that they've done or whatever. And it's just like, oh, I did this and this, and just what they were thinking about. And it's very entertaining.
It actually sounds kind of mesmerizing to get somebody trying to figure out. Like Guy Montgomery was saying, the interesting thing is people trying to remember what they did the day before. It's kind of interesting or fun.
Yeah.
Rick, do you remember what you watched?
I looked it up. Have we done an episode since Megalopolis? I saw Megalopolis.
We've talked about how you like long movies. Is this a long movie?
Megalopolis was not as long as a long movie, no. It was only 2.5 hours, I think.
Is there supposed to be live music during Megalopolis?
No, apparently in some showings there's a press conference scene, and apparently in some showings they had a live actor in the theater who would yell a question to Adam Driver.
And so what happens when the actor's not there? It's just
I don't know.
quiet?
I couldn't see. Yeah, and that was the thing, is I thought the press conference was later in the movie, so it's like I thought it was going to be at the beginning. I feel like the press conference was later. I guess maybe they just have a different version of the movie in the regular screening.
It was playing in a college town that I recently visited. Is that where you saw it, at that theater?
Probably the IMAX theater.
Oh no, this was downtown.
Really?
the art theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, I didn't see it. I saw it in IMAX.
So was it good?
No,
No.
it was not.
There's a lot of people defending it, saying, let an old artist be an old artist.
Yeah, that's fine, but it doesn't mean it's a good movie. It was crazy. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. It's kind of like, oh, Robert Moses let's create somebody who's like a combination of Robert Moses and Howard Rourke and make him the good guy. I guess Howard Rourke is the good guy in The Fountainhead, right?
You're over my Fountainhead.
Robert Moses, the guy who designed destroyed neighborhoods in New York City and the famous Parks Commissioner.
Right.
Power broker, Robert Moses. There's certain things that Adam Driver's doing in the movie, and it's like, wait a minute, isn't Robert Moses a bad guy? And he's doing Robert Moses stuff. It was just, I don't know, it was just goofy, and this whole idea of this special new building material, magical building material that he supposedly invents, hardly touched on in the movie, but it's supposed to be the main driver of this whole narrative. Dustin Hoffman dies in a flashback.
Spoiler alert.
The thing is you'd be like, oh, hey, Dustin Hoffman's in it. And it's like, oh, great. And then what you say to yourself is, oh, he's pretty good compared to John Voight. Is John Voight playing a doddering fool, or is that just the way he was on set? And that's how they filmed it. You know, is he playing a character, or is it just, wow, John Voight is totally
Just film. We'll
Yeah,
work with it. Whatever he
exactly.
does, yeah.
It did feel like that. And then it's like, oh, Dustin's doing great. But then it's like, there's one point where it's like, oh, by the way, oh no, Dustin Hoffman's dead. That character's dead. And then they just have a little momentary flashback of him dying, you know? And it's like, what? I don't know. I could go into very specifics about the movie, but it's just crazy, disjoint, weird looking. Somebody said it looked like a perfume commercial, like a 2.5-hour perfume commercial, you know, like those weird 90s perfume commercials where everyone's painted gold. It's kind of like that. And then I watched One from the Heart finally. I'd never seen that. That was a little better.
It's not good, though. It's just better.
One from the Heart. I mean, I love Frederick Forrest, but it's like, I think Frederick Forrest was the only person that signed a contract with Coppola, American Zoetrope, as a contract player. That was the idea, is Coppola wanted to have contract players. He wanted to sign actors to, you know, like
The old
like the old
studio
studio
system.
system.
yeah.
And I think Frederick Forrest is the only one who went for it. He's great, but it's like as the lead in that movie, it's just terrible. And then it's beautiful. It's filmed on a huge soundstage, so that's what I've always wanted to see what that looks like. I mean, I love that kind of artificial environment. It's kind of like New York, Scorsese movie too,
Yeah.
where it's like,
Liza Minnelli and
and it's like,
Robert
it should
De
be
Niro.
good. It should be good, but it's not, right? It looks good, but it's like, it's a weird movie.
I think my wife and I found it charming.
Okay, well, maybe your wife and you will find One from the Heart charming.
John Voight, he's Angelina Jolie's dad.
That's right.
Okay, that's what I thought. So Cosmopolis.
Megalopolis.
No, Cosmopolis is.
Cosmopolis. Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
I have seen that
It
movie.
feels
That's
like when I saw the trailer for Megalopolis and you were talking about it looks like a perfume ad, they both have that weird kind of shiny look to them.
I'm trying to remember if I liked Cosmopolis.
I did not like Cosmopolis.
Cosmopolis was interesting because there's also Holy Rollers, right? So it was like, how many movies were there that were filmed in a limousine, basically? So there's Cosmopolis, Holy Rollers, and I feel like there's another movie from around that time that were limousine movies. Cosmopolis is the Don DeLillo, David Cronenberg
Correct. Yeah, Cronenberg.
with Batman.
Yeah,
Vampire Boy.
Darth Vader. Oh, no, you're right. He wasn't Darth Vader. I'm getting him mixed up
No,
with the other
Vampire
guy.
Boy, right.
Same guy, though. Let's be honest. You could just throw them in.
Robert Pattinson.
Real quickly, I've been watching the Danny McBride-averse. I watched Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals, and I'm almost to the first season of The Righteous Gemstones. I love it. Really good. Did you watch it? Either of you?
I haven't watched any of that, and I love him in Pineapple Express. You've seen Pineapple
I
Express?
haven't seen Pineapple Express.
Oh
'cause
my
I heard it was
God.
bad. I heard it was a bad movie.
Oh my God, Pineapple Express is amazing.
I'll be watching that as soon as I finish The Righteous Gemstones.
He's epic in that film.
The only thing I've ever seen him in before I started watching these shows is This Is the End. Is that right?
Oh yeah,
Which I thought was a great movie.
thought it was okay.
A lot
yeah.
of fun. But anyway, there you go. Let's announce the film. Today we'll be watching, or next week we'll be reviewing one of the two, 2023's Godzilla Minus One. And as you know, we always try and stay on top of the most recent films here, so that's why next season it'll be a lot different. I'm going to go back to the theme of the show, but this year I wanted to finish off my.
So that means I'm going to have to start picking brand new movies, right?
As long, there was a theme to what I was doing. Monster movies was my theme this year. I kind of accidentally fell into it, and I do.
2030. In 2030 is what we're talking about next season.
Mm-hmm.
No, next season would start. Let's see, because we get 4 quarters, so we get into 2026. Yeah, so it would start about halfway through 2026.
Okay. All right.
When our 8th fiscal year? Yeah, I can't remember. Fiscal years go by, they're a little offset from the calendar years. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, when does our fiscal year start? Because the university, the state of Illinois fiscal year starts in July, so
March is when
March. Ours is March. Okay.
We offset it so that we could do advertisements and we could offset the payments for our advertisers so that we could still claim the revenue within the fiscal year, even though their calendar year had turned over.
Got it.
We've explained that in previous episodes.
The royal we, man.
It's a financial mechanism. And for us being a privately held partnership, we have that kind of flexibility.
Not an S corp.
No, this is an LLP.
All right, man.
I mean, I still need you guys to sign some papers. But don't worry about it. Anyway, so we'll talk to you on the flip side next week about Godzilla -1. I guess the big question is, are we watching Godzilla -1 or are we watching Godzilla -1/C?
Ooh, on cassette? VHS cassette? Is
No,
that
it's
what the C?
without color. Sans color.
So C or not C?
Yeah, I think we watch with C.
Yeah, that's an interesting trend, right? So what was it? The Mad Max movie, they did a black and white release in theaters of that, too. The first reboot or whatever. Mad Max, there was a...
Fury Road?
Yeah, Fury Road. There was like a platinum edition, or I can't remember what they called it. Steel edition. And what the stupid superhero, one of those stupid superhero movies, right? They did a black and white. Oh, no, they did a...
Batman versus Superman? Or
No,
something?
no. Like a bunch of superheroes, and then there's like a
Justice League.
Snyder cut. Is that what it is?
Snyder
Oh,
Cut.
but that was in a different aspect ratio, right? That's what they did.
They did lots of stuff. I mean, they completely refilmed the movie and released it, and it was a bomb.
Right.
And then they went back to the Snyder Cut, where he then finished filming his original vision. So yeah, it was a different aspect ratio, and the colorization of it was with all those. Who's the guy that makes those films?
Alfred Hitchcock? Oh.
Zack Snyder. Sorry,
Zack Snyder.
Who makes the Snyder Cut movies?
Snyder cut. Okay, yeah, that's... Yeah.
What's that guy's name?
Yeah.
It wasn't black and white, but it was in a
Okay. It was in a different... Yeah, it was more sepia-toned or something.
Right.
Yeah. And then, of course, the General, what was it called? With...
Those commercials with Shaq?
No. With Mad Eye Moody. What's his name? Brendan Gleeson, right? Not John Frankenheimer. What was the English director who did Deliverance and The Emerald Forest and Excalibur? John Schlesinger.
Schlesinger
Was one of his last movies. They released that. It was supposed to be black and white. They released 2 versions of that because they shot it in color and then he wanted it in black and white, and they did a theatrical release, I believe, black and white, but then the video release was color. Yeah, crazy. But it wasn't shot in black and white, right? They converted it to black and white after shooting it, but then, released it in black and white, I believe.
You just turn that saturation knob down to 0.
Yeah, it's from like the late 90s, I think, right? So I don't even know if they digitally do that, or was that film process? I think it was shot on film, but shot on color film. And then the question is, did they digitally process? It's like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It has that digital processing, but it was shot on film. It was that in-between era.
Like the first Star Wars prequel was shot on film and digital and film. And
Right. They blend. It was like a mixture, right? Yeah.
And he's like, I can shoot a whole movie on digital. And then he did that next time.
Yeah. And then, I just remember that, like him editing like a scene between 2 actors. And it's like, I'm using take 7 of Liam Neeson. I'm using take 3 of... what's his name?
I think I vomited when I saw that.
Yeah, and it's
behind
like,
the scenes. I was just like, you've got to be kidding me.
It's
What
like,
are you doing?
Like splitting it down the middle and fusing different takes. Yeah, it was like, that's
I have
bad.
done things like that for some of the stuff that Dave Keith and I worked on, but it was because we had to. There was like a problem. Like we had to fuse together shots to get a decent shot. Or
Right.
It was not that like I could do it.
Yeah.
All right, Godzilla -1 in color. I think that's the best way to watch it.
And on VHS? Oh no, on Mac Mini. Wow. How far we have fallen.
It's an M1 Mac Mini.
Yeah.
Well, look, this is the end of my deviation. You know, there's so many. We have so many seasons ahead of us. At least 10 more seasons ahead of us. I took one season to stray from the formula.
This is the end of my deviation.
This is the end of my deviation.
It's like you're becoming like a early Nine Inch Nails song title generator.
Is that what I said? Did I say this is the end of my deviation?
You did. And I was like, wow, I'm going to take that out of context.
Does that mean something?
I don't know. It just sounded funny to me.
I've got some VHS tapes here. I mean, we've got the
Transfer it.
VCR right here. We could just turn the TV off and then record it off of the Netflix onto
Oh.
the VHS and then
then
watch
play it
back
back?
the VHS.
Yeah, I got time for that.
Uh-huh.
At this point, everything's out the window. You're not going home tonight, are you?
I may. I think so.
All right. Well, let's watch the movie and see if we can get Rick a safe decision to make. Lost and Found and Rewound is fully funded by Lost and Found and Rewound Foundation funds. Lost and Found and Rewound does not use crowdfunding because our listeners have better things to do with their funding. There's no need to post reviews of Lost and Found and Rewound because our listeners have more valuable things to do with their time. In all sincerity, thank you for listening to the show. We truly appreciate it.
Lotus Pod.